2024. Brazen suicide bombers targeted a wedding ceremony, funeral, and hospital in a sporadic and coordinated attacks in Goza town of Borno State, which resulted in the unfortunate death of 32 innocent Nigerians so far, leaving scores of other victims wounded with varied degrees of injuries. Also notes that one of the incidents occurred near a busy motor park in Tashan Mararaba, Goza town, and the victims were mainly civilians returning from a wedding ceremony where the assailant was identified to be a young lady in her early 20s. Further notes that these attacks have raised significant concern about the security situation in the region, which has been flashpoint of terrorist attacks over the years, and this calls for concerted and coordinated efforts of the security agencies to address the state of insecurity in Borno State and other parts of the country experiencing similar situations. Aware that in today's world, asymmetric warfare, whereby its strategy and tactics differ significantly from the normal conventional war, the approach by our security agencies should be significant, scientifically and technologically based with the use of modern software and facilities to fight the menace. Accordingly, observe a minute's silence in honor of those innocent Nigerians who lost their precious lives from this unfortunate incident. 2, urge the National Emergency Management Agency to intensify efforts by providing relief materials to the victims of the attack. And 3, to urge the federal government to direct the security agencies in the country to deploy the use of modern technology in the fight against insurgency and to make concerted efforts in securing the hotspots inhibited by the insurgents, namely the Lake Chad region, 2, the Sambisa forest, and 3, the Mandara Mountains, respectively. Mr. President, these 3 spots are so far now the only black spot of where the insurgents are inhibiting in Borno State. I'm very sure if these 3 black spots are cleared, the end of terrorism in Borno State will definitely be achieved. Finally, Mr. President, I cannot conclude without appreciating the avalanche of condolences, sympathies, calls that I received. And therefore, when I went home, my people asked me to thank you very much for the concern shown, especially Mr. President, who personally got in touch with me to sympathize on these incidents, and also directed the Vice President to immediately go to Goza, where he individually went to see the victims that were evacuated to Maiduguri for treatment. And also your humble self, when the incidents happened, in the night when I informed you, you called me and also supported me by even offering to get me to Maiduguri by whatever means. The DSP were together at ECOWAS Parliament, and he too showed concern. All my colleagues, virtually all my colleagues called me individually and in group, the Northern Senators Forum, the Southern Senators Forum, other individuals showed sympathy and concerted condemnation of this act. I believe that with this display of solidarity, if the Nigerian Army is provided with the necessary tools and equipment, and I must also mention here, this time around, the Nigerian Army and other security forces responded promptly and gallantly. In fact, one soldier lost his life and a civilian JTF when they confronted the 5th suicide bomber that detonated the bomb and killed the three of them there. One was a soldier. And mostly, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, that soldier that sacrificed his life was from the south. It is I have to mention this because that is the greatest sacrifice one can make. And in fact, that was what led to getting that incident immediately to an end, because they succeeded in arresting one of the last suicide bomber. She's now under interrogation. I must mention here again that these people are already, indoctrinated. All of them their hairs were braided, and they had this melee, and they are confident that they are going to heaven if they detonate and kill the people. In fact, the last woman that was arrested, up to now, the interrogation has not brought out so much because she's still insisting that she wants to go to heaven, and that is by killing people and detonating the bomb. So, Mr. President, as I said, the black spots are 3. What needs to be done can be achieved if the Nigerian Army are given specific instruction and attention and provided with what they need, particularly drones and other technologically driven gadgets, in order to get rid of these 3 black spots. Once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and once also thank my distinguished colleagues for the support, sympathy that I have been pouring in since the incident happened. I so move.
Between now and the next 2-3 hours, people will keep repeating themselves. The heinous crime, very sad incidents, horrific as it is, a resurgence of a very serious angle to banditry and then Boko Haram, and then of course our sympathies and commiserations go to the good people of Borno State and Goza in particular, and the Senate's Chief Whip. So the Chief Whip of the Senate, let me thank you for bringing this up. When that incident happened, many Nigerians were not able to sleep well. And because insecurity in any part of the nation is insecurity everywhere. So I believe together, you heard your colleagues, the actions that took place are very condemnable. But then, something that you brought up, which was important, is that it is not that the security agencies did not react, that one of them even paid the supreme sacrifice. And then also they were able to apprehend the last suicide bomber, who is now providing insights into the plans that they have, and then insisting that she should be allowed to go and detonate the bomb for her to go to heaven. So it's both psychological, mental, as well as physical. So the police cannot be everywhere. The federal government cannot enter every traditional gathering in the country and every wedding. But at least we have brought up something very serious here, that we should also employ a lot of technology. The technology, you don't need to be physically there. You can monitor from miles away to know when there is likely going to be an infraction in security. And also, what happened there could also be described as failure of intelligence. Because we have so many suicide bombers gathering together, it means we've not penetrated their camps. Otherwise, we would have known that they were going to strike. So preventive security must also be emphasized. So I thank all my colleagues for their contributions, and I pray that let us go into the prayers, and then from there we can proceed solutions that could help us to stem the tide of this current resurgence. Thank you, the Chief Whip, and please accept my personal condolence on the losses. Prayer 1. Observe a minute silence in honor of those innocent Nigerians who lost their lives from these unfortunate bombings. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to intensify efforts by providing relief materials to the victims of the various attacks aforementioned. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the federal government of Nigeria to direct the security agencies in the country to deploy the use of modern technology in this fight against insurgency and banditry, to make concerted efforts in securing the hotspots inhabited by the insurgents, clearly named Lake Chad region, Sambisa Forest, and Mandara Mountains. Those in support of prayer.
Amendment, sir.
Yeah? Somebody said something?
Yes, sir. Amendment to prayer 3, sir.
Amendment or additional prayer? Because prayer 3 seems very straightforward. You can bring additional prayer. Prayer 3 says we should urge the federal government of Nigeria to direct the security agencies to deploy the use of modern technology in the fight against insurgency, banditry, and the Boko Haram. And then another aspect of prayer 3 is that they should also make concerted efforts to secure the hotspots inhabited by the insurgents, which are known, such as Lake Chad region, Sambisa Forest, and Mandara Mountains. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, who wanted to do additional prayer? Senator